Hello! So this is going to be a sequel to a previous video I did. Here it is. Here is said video. In said video, I spoke about games. More specifically, how I wasn't a gamer. How I felt I didn't conform to that brand of person. Well, as of late, I've made a discovery. And by discovery, I mean it was staring me right in the face the whole time, and I just refused to admit it. I am a gamer. Or at the very least, someone who partakes in the enjoyment of media. Games. Aren't games great? I've played some games. Oh yeah. Played them. I mentioned in the video that I played a select few of games, and one of them was Max Payne. Yes, that is right. Max Payne, a game that I mentioned very, very briefly in the last video, is now the main focus of the sequel. Yes, Max Payne being a game released in 2001, I played it with my father upon its release, and by played it with, I mean I watched him play it. Side note, Max Payne has a very interesting way of doing cutscenes. They look like comic strips, like this. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Look at him go. Anyway, the point to all this is, in that video, I said my dad couldn't figure out that level for the life of him and gave up. So I don't actually know how that game ends, because I never watched it happen. But naturally, my brain was like, huh, I wonder how that game did end. I hadn't thought about that game for like 20 years, and then I did a video on it, so it, it triggered the cogs in my brain. So naturally, I went to my computer and was like, oh wow, shit, Max Payne's on Steam? Holy fuck. I honestly did not expect it to be on Steam. So I downloaded it, had to do a few fixes because it's not really compatible with modern versions of Windows, and it hasn't really been updated over the years. It's just been kind of sitting there on Steam, and the devs don't really touch it anymore. So I had to rely on community-made mods to allow it to work. Regardless, it was an amazing experience. My 20-year lore edging was finally over, and I can now look you in the eye and say, I know the story of Max Payne. Oh, but the story doesn't stop there. Upon doing some research via Google, I found that Max Payne has sequels. So, naturally, my curiosity was piqued. I downloaded Max Payne 2. The Fall of Max Payne. Wow, what a gripping title. I hope it's not completely ruined by the fact there is also a third game. So I played Max Payne 2. Had to do the same thing as I did with the previous game, where it wasn't exactly working, so I had to rely on mods to get it to function. But eventually, I played it. I went all the way through the game. The NPCs were hilarious. The cutscenes, as always, were very interesting, comic book styled, as I said previously. And then I get to the end of the game. No spoilers, don't worry. But the ending happened, and then the credits rolled. And I was greeted with this.
And we keep driving into the night. It's a late goodbye, such a late goodbye, and we keep driving into
this
the night.
Piece of music I had never heard before, and upon doing research I discovered it wasn't a real song. It was made for the game, based on a poem written by the lead writer. And this is when it all just kind of hit me. 20 years after first seeing this game, I had played the sequel and heard that music. 20 years of not knowing what this game was or how it ended. I finally had, I don't want to seem dramatic, but I finally had closure. It was, again, not to be dramatic, but it was a good experience. And also, just my opinion, but the third game fucking sucks. It's made by completely different people, and it kind of ruins all impact that the second one had. In my opinion. Third game bad, second game is true ending. Thank you. So yes, that was my Max Payne story. It all started in the front room of my house, sat next to my dad as he played on the computer. all accumulating to 20 years worth of cock teasing, and then finally being able to blow my load at that music. Also, I completed Destroy Humans 1 and 2 as well, the original PlayStation ones, and you know, it was okay, but nowhere near the mind-blowing experience I had revisiting Max Payne. Oh, also, while you're here, speaking on the topic of games, and speaking of Destroy All Humans, I bought the soundtrack. Look at that. It's kind of weird. It's very 2005, I'll put it that way. Also, this may be a phase, but I've really got into big box games. If you don't know what big box games are, they were these big boys that were released in the early 90s. Look at the size of them. If you don't know what this game is, and I don't expect you to, this is the best game that you've never heard of. It was a mod for the original Half-Life that got Valve's attention, and they were like, oh shit, do you want to produce it? Like, do you want, we'll get retail? And then the publishers, Sierra, were like, we'll give you a box, we'll make you a box, do you want a box? And here it is, this is Gunman Chronicles. It's very, very good. Very, very nice. And this is what's classified as abandonware. You cannot find this anymore. It's not even on Steam. And the people that made it, ReWolf, don't exist. So no one technically owns this IP. Well, Valve do, but Valve don't care. So this is a rarity. Anyway, I'm not sure how long this video was. I'm not sure if this video made sense, but I've got to go because, as I said, this is scheduled, and I've got packing to do.
We keep driving into the night. It's a